A former NFL GM says, don't sleep on potentially Aaron Rodgers getting traded to the San Francisco 49ers in 2022. We'll make sense of that. And how much will Nick Bosa make? A former agent says it's going to be a lot of money, 30 plus mil per year. And we'll open up the Winky Wednesday mailbag coming up right now.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker with you on this Wednesday episode. That means we're bringing on a very special guest, as we do on Wednesdays, at BD Peacock, at Eric_Crocker. And I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by our friends at Get Upside. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code Touchdown to get 25 cents per gallon or more cash back on your first tank. And now let's bring on today's guest.
Nick Winkler, come on down.
Hey, there we go. A little Winky Wednesday action. Wink, how you feeling on this Tuesday evening? If you're watching on YouTube on this Wednesday morning, pretend it's Wednesday morning to our listeners work in their cars.
I'm feeling good. It's Super Bowl week, man. This is great. Everybody's, you just kind of focus on a couple things. It's really easy to, in the sports world, that is. But then you get all these rumors about the 49ers and different quarterbacks that could be coming. And I thought we just spent a bunch of picks on a quarterback. Why are we talking about all these other guys?
Oh, it's insane. It's the NFL is crazy. It's why we can do a daily podcast every single day of the offseason. We can do podcasts 5 days a week in March. It's because the NFL's crazy. Free agency, the draft, we're going to be all about it. And of course, all the tasty little morsels and rumors and all the stories that are out there. We're going to get to your Super Bowl pick. Croc and I are going to wait till Friday for our picks, but we're going to talk to you today about your Super Bowl pick as well at the end of this program after we answer a few listener questions. But the big topics of today, the one that really blew my mind was Randy Mueller. And he is a former NFL GM. I believe he was Executive of the Year in 2000 for the Miami Dolphins or the Saints, one of the two. I know he's GM of both of those teams. He said on Twitter today, let's don't discount the 49ers as possible landing spot for A-Rod. And there's multiple things that go through my mind. First of all, I just want to say, and this is not to besmirch the good name of Randy Mueller, and I really like his podcast he does on The Athletic with Mike Sando. And Mike Sando I've talked to many times, used to be a regular guest on the Peacock and Williamson NFL show when we used to do the Locked On NFL program. And it's entertaining, and I like listening to Randy Mueller's takes. But at the same time, he was Executive of the Year 22 years ago, right? In 2000, not in 2021. What's he talking about? Croc, can you make sense of this? First of all,
I can't make sense of it.
A-Rod is Alex Rodriguez, not Aaron Rodgers. I want to see that, first of all. But I assume he means Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers? Come on. Like, that ship sailed. That ship is long gone, and it was really never in the area of potentially docking at our pier, right? That ship was kind of way over there at one point in 2005, and it sailed like way over there. That's where the Aaron Rodgers ship has always been, very far away.
Peacock, I tell you all the time, you have the shadow draft, and your shadow draft is better than a lot of NFL teams' drafts. So, okay, right. He got Exec of the Year 2001. I feel like you could have gotten Executive of the Year at some point over the last 10 years. So I don't put as much stock into that. In trying to make sense of him saying A-Rod, I think that's the popular thing to do because it is a trendy destination for a lot of people. But I don't understand how people continue to gloss over. One, the 49ers just drafted somebody third overall, and he happens to be a quarterback, and he's not bad. Like, why are they trying to replace him? Go replace one of these other quarterbacks that look terrible. Go replace Justin Fields, who has stretches of looking terrible. Go replace Trevor Lawrence. Why isn't anybody trying to replace him? He looked like trash most of the season. All right. But they want to replace Trey Lance, who actually looked decent, especially in his second start. Like, why are they trying to replace him? And the 49ers don't even have the draft capital to do it. Let's say hypothetically the 49ers did want to replace Trey Lance for whatever reason. how the hell are they going to get Aaron Rodgers? They traded away all their draft picks to get Trey Lance. So it doesn't make sense on any front. I believe they structured Aaron Rodgers, aka A-Rod. They structured his contract in a way to where they can get out of it, but I don't think he's a free agent. They just moved some money around and did some things. So you still have to trade for him. And the 49ers don't have the capital, even if they wanted to make it happen.
Right. And there's like every logical path you take to how the 49ers could potentially end up with Aaron Rodgers in this offseason. There's a roadblock at each one of those. You name some of them there, Croc. Wink, is there? What do you think when you hear a story like this? And this guy's been in the league. He probably still talks to a lot of people who are decision makers in the league. And I've seen a lot of listeners float this idea, and usually I don't even get to the questions because it's to me, it seems ridiculous. But Wink, do you see a path to Aaron Rodgers on the 49ers?
No, I mean, yeah, Croc just laid it all out there. Plus, Aaron Rodgers kind of seems like that guy that just always holds a grudge, and he will always have that spot in his heart of hate for the 49ers for drafting Alex Smith instead of him. He just wouldn't do it. He's just like, nah, yeah, you could trade me there, and I'm just not going to show up. So, the Niners would lose whatever they sent to Green Bay. But again, they don't really have anything to send to Green Bay. I just read a tweet from Larry Krueger who said, what if the Niners sent Garoppolo, and something to the Bucks and try to get the rights for Tom Brady back? Like, would you guys be okay with that? And it's like, that's an interest. That makes more sense to me than the Aaron Rodgers stuff does.
I was going to say that was one of my points in this. I think it's much more likely that Tom Brady was quarterback of the 49ers at some point in the next 2 years than Aaron Rodgers will be quarterback of the 49ers in the next 2 years. But
100%. But do you want that? I mean, obviously you don't want to say no to the GOAT again, if he's trying to come over. But at the same time, it's like you spent all this capital in Lance. Are you really going to sit him for another year or maybe two? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense as a 49er fan. Plus, you're going to have to pay Tom Brady too. That's one of the reasons you would get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo is to free up that cash to bring in other people. And you're not doing that if you're bringing Brady right in.
Exactly. There's a roadblock in every logical explanation that can make this happen. There's a roadblock that doesn't make any sense. One, you just traded you spent 3 first-round picks to go get your next quarterback who just sat for a year, and you're ready to transition into your player there in Trey Lance. You're already trading a veteran player in Jimmy Garoppolo to make that happen. So that plan is already obviously in place. If they wouldn't be talking about trading Jimmy Garoppolo right now if they didn't believe in Trey Lance. Even if the 49ers wanted to make this happen, and the only way it could happen is if Aaron Rodgers said, the only team I will play for is the San Francisco 49ers. Maybe if you can't beat them, join them kind of thing for the Packers, right? And so, or for Aaron Rodgers, maybe Aaron Rodgers says, okay, I don't want to be back here. I want you to trade me. The only team I will agree to go to is the San Francisco 49ers. Even then, I think the Packers would look at the 49ers as probably, aside from Croc, you mentioned Justin Fields, aside from the Bears in their division, I would say the way that their season has ended a couple times in the last couple of years, the last team the Packers and Matt LaFleur would want to trade Aaron Rodgers to is the 49ers. So they might even say, okay, retire then and call his back on them. So there's really no path that any of this makes any sense unless the 49ers really don't like their young quarterback in Trey Lance. And in that case, he would be the one that would be going in any trade because you don't have any picks. So he's the only player of enough value that you would logically send in a deal like that. And if teams value Trey Lance that much, why not try to be good for 15 years instead of 1 year, right? So none of it makes sense at all.
And if you're the Packers, you do have Jordan Love. And I'm not saying he's Trey Lance, but he's not far off in the sense of the talent that he has. Now, obviously, he has to put it all together, and he's only played in limited time. So I'm pretty sure their fan base, almost like Trey Lance, right? Where it's like you've seen such a small sample size that you're not sure exactly what he is. At some point, can you give him an opportunity to show what he is? Or does everybody just believe whatever the coach sees in practice, like that's 100% what he is? Like, dude, give these guys a chance. Give them the live reps. You've seen even Jordan Love show that he is talented. And even then, he still hasn't even looked as good as Trey Lance looked, even with Trey Lance looking shaky Spotty in the first half of the Texans. It was like, then he comes out and he has like a solid game. I don't know, man. I have a lot of pushback because I feel like Trey Lance gets this tag of just a guy that is just so raw. But every other rookie quarterback, oh no, they're fine. Just give them time. Like they'll be
Right.
okay. But let's replace Trey Lance, who actually looked like the better of most of those guys in his first 2 starts. If you compare his first 2 start numbers compared to the other guys and the production that he's had in very limited sample size, like it's good. Like the production looks good. Now it just has to lead to points, which it started to in the Texans game, and you build on that like you would any other rookie. Clearly, it frustrates me how they talk about it.
Well, and to be fair to those other guys too, I mean, Trey Lance stepped into a much better situation, with the weapons around him and the offensive line than a lot of those guys, especially Trevor Lawrence and, Justin Fields. Like both of them didn't quite have the same situation that Lance had. That being said, yeah, I'm with you. Like it's frustrating as well to be like, oh, it's time to move on and bring in another guy. No, I like what you said, Peacock. Like, why not try to be better for the next 15 years as opposed to just 1 or 2? Like you got this young guy that you think is the future. He's got all the tools. He was spotty. Yeah, he had moments where you're like, oh, gosh, but he's a rookie. So you also had that second half of the Texans game where you're like, okay, that's the guy. That's what we want to see there going forward. The potential's there. You've seen it.
Yeah, it reminds me of the 49, of the Lakers. And, you get LeBron James. Then all of a sudden you trade away all the young guys.
Yeah.
You trade away Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Hart, Julius Randle, Kuzma, anybody that was kind of working to build a continuity with each other and be able to learn the game and play off of each other. It's like, no, forget your development. We're just going to screw this whole thing up, trade all of y'all away just to win 1 Mickey Mouse ring with LeBron and Anthony Davis.
I like the Mickey Mouse ring too. I love it.
I'm a Laker fan. I got my Laker flags
but
right
you're
here.
Right.
But it's like, that's it. That's all we got. And we booted all those kids out. Like, let's be a little patient with it.
Yep. Mickey Mouse ring for the Lakers, Mickey Mouse rings for the Dodgers. Kind of fun stuff there that happened.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a wild world we're living in right now. But yeah, like, why'd you draft the kid if you don't like Trey Lance, right? None of this makes any sense whatsoever. Aaron Rodgers is not going to be a 49er.
No, the only sense it makes is that people are talking about it. People are clicking on his link. People, he got what he wanted, and that's a lot of attention. And here we are. Yeah, we just spent 12 minutes of this podcast talking about what's essentially nonsense. Come on.
Yeah, and I've seen
Aaron Rodgers is not coming.
I've seen the question enough that I just want to squash it before, because I know I'm going to get a flood of questions on Twitter and email and stuff about, hey, Aaron Rodgers, what do you think? Because people get excited about it, and people, in California love the local kid who made good and he was a 49ers fan growing up. And I wouldn't be shocked if Rodgers would want to play for the 49ers because they're pretty good. They're, better than the Packers, right? Last couple of years. But yeah, it's definitely not going to happen. Doesn't make sense really on any level as well. Let's talk about Nick Bosa. How much is he going to cost? Can the 49ers afford to do all the things they need to do with their star players and have everybody under one roof going forward? And some mailbag questions as well coming up shortly. I want to talk to the folks out there about BetOnline, though. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, more odds, and more lines than ever before as football season continues to march toward the big game, and tons of draft props as well that are always a lot of fun, and I like to get in on when it comes to sports betting. BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all your sports scores and news this season, as well as bets. And it's not just football. BetOnline has up-to-the-minute info, pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, and live real-time updates during current games. So don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2022 season. Tons of Super Bowl props. Throw some money down on those Cincinnati Bengals at BetOnline, where the game starts. Speaking of the Cincinnati Bengals, it's Super Week brought to you by Get Upside, and there's no better place to get coverage of the big game than the Locked On NFL podcast right here on the network. The Locked On NFL folks, Locked On Bengals folks, Locked On Rams folks are all in Los Angeles, all covering the big game this week. So check all that stuff out. One more point that I just want to drive home really quick, that there was two big things about that tweet from Randy Mueller that bothered me. One, the Niners aren't going to, in fantasy land, they're not going to go get Aaron Rodgers. The Green Bay Packers are not going to send Aaron Rodgers to the 49ers. They're going to send him out of the NFC. A-Rod. Are we calling Aaron Rodgers A-Rod? Like, no. First of all, A-Rod is Alex Rodriguez. And That was already a bad nickname. It was a like.
I call him A-Rod. It does
just
kind of roll off the tongue, like A-Rod. Like it just kind of rolls off the tongue.
Andy Roddick. They tried to make an A-Rod as well.
Yeah.
See, he would definitely be a fake one.
We're all first. It's a terrible
win enough.
There's only 2 A-Rods.
No, there's
one A-Rod.
There was one. It's Alex Rodriguez, and there shouldn't have been one because it's a bad nickname. Come on.
No, there's you got the baseball one. You got the football one, tennis, and all these other sports. No, all right. There's the baseball one, the football one.
The first letter of your first name and the first 3 letters of your last name is a terrible nickname. It's trash.
Some people call me E-Croc.
Yeah, terrible.
And wink here, guys.
Dude, kick whoever calls you that in the nuts next time you see him.
All right, BP.
So how about one of the other ones that bothers me recently because he was fired from the Baltimore Ravens is Don Martindale, the defensive coordinator. They call him Wink Martindale. Wink Martindale was already somebody else's nickname.
Yeah. A very famous game show host.
And his name wasn't Wink. Wink was his nickname. That was a good nickname. You can't nickname someone else's nickname. Come on,
my son's nickname is Juice. All right. So this girl, she named my son Juice. She was like, "Oh, you got a juicy mouth. I'm gonna start calling you Juicy." So she would call him Juicy. When he was a kid, I'm talking about 2 months old, right? Yeah. And I said, "Man, we can't be walking around calling my son Juicy." So I call him Juice. I've been calling my son Juice since he was 2 months old. Now he's 14, right? Juice. Yeah. There was a Juice Williams around that time on Illinois playing quarterback.
I remember Juice Williams. I know Kyle Juszczyk, who they call Juice. I remember O.J. Simpson, who they call Juice. But Juice is okay as a nickname. He earned his own nickname. You don't call him Juice Williams. You don't call your son O.J. Simpson, right? Yeah. You call him Juice. It's his own nickname. It's separate.
Yeah.
It can stay.
You don't call him somebody else's name.
It has to stay because I have it tattooed on me. So
no, Juice is a good nickname.
You're good.
That is a great nickname. Just don't start calling him A-Rod. Or E-Croc.
J-Croc.
Don't call him J-Croc.
BP's my favorite.
All right. Where are we at here? There's only 2 Winks. Nick Winkler and the original Wink Martindale. Not Don Martindale. Does not count. What are we even talking about here? Nick Bosa?
Wait. So he stole his whole name?
They call Don Martindale Wink Martindale because football people are unoriginal as hell, and there's already a guy called Wink Martindale who was the game show host that I grew up watching
in the 60s or something. 70s.
Yeah, you can't do that.
They think they're being cute by using Wink Martindale because his last name's Martindale, and there's never been any other famous Martindales except for Wink Martindale and Don Martindale. They call him Wink Martindale. It's like, dude, that's already somebody else's nickname.
Yeah. Okay, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah. Which is like A-Rod, same thing. You can't do that.
That's different.
I'm trying to get you on board with this, Croc.
Because Wink Martindale, that's like a full
name, yeah.
Martindale.
Actually, that would be like instead of calling your son Juice, you called him O.J. Simpson or Kyle Juszczyk.
Right.
Kyle Juszczyk. Yeah.
That's super weird.
It would be super weird if you called your son O.J. Simpson. That would be super weird.
Oh. How about this? Between $30.25 million, not just $30 million a year, $30.25 million up to $33 million per year is, and that's better than Aaron Donald. It's the biggest non-quarterback contract in the NFL. If Nick Bosa was to get that kind of money, that's what Joel Corey, former NFL agent, thinks that is going to happen with Nick Bosa. And it's probably not going to be this offseason, but probably before the cap jumps up quite a bit in 2023, right before his 5th-year option. That would probably be the time that Nick Bosa gets a brand new, fresh contract and a very big one. As long as he doesn't tear any more ACLs, this one does not make the BS meter go off. This one sounds real. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Nick Bosa is going to break records until the next defensive end after him breaks his record, right? That's just the way things go with contracts in the NFL.
Yeah, and if you watch the 49ers play football, he's worth it, right? I mean, he's a disruptor. The guy is constantly in the backfield, pressures, tackle for losses, sacks. I mean, the guy is a stud. And you said it. I think as long as he stays healthy next year, I think you're going to see big payday for that guy.
Mm-hmm. Croc, Bosa's the most important player on the 49ers, right? More important, even in most teams, quarterback is the most important. For the 49ers run in 2021 and 2019, Nick Bosa, I would say the most important player, even though Deebo probably gets the MVP award.
Yeah.
I think Bosa over Deebo. And Deebo's going to ask for $20 million too. So Deebo's going to ask for $20 million. Bosa's going to ask for $30 million. Can you pay $50 million to these guys when you're already paying whatever you're paying for Trent Williams?
Fred Warner,
paid linebacker in the league. So
Kittle's
the highest paid tight end in the league.
They're going to be looking at some of these guys to retire. Like they're going to give Trent Williams that nudge. Like, all right, Trent.
Yeah. Well, so that's the thing. Trent Williams is going to have to go out the door. That's why I keep saying I'm looking in the future. McGlinchey, you can't pay McGlinchey and whatever they're going to have to pay Tomlinson this offseason, and whatever they're paying Deebo, and whatever they're paying Trent Williams, and then Bosa will be up the next year after McGlinchey. So you're not going to pay McGlinchey long term. So he's got to go. And then at some point, you probably have to start forcing Trent Williams out with what he's going to be making. So you got to start looking at offensive tackles if you're the 49ers. Eric Armstead starting this season in 2022 is going to make more per year than DeForest Buckner, who they let go. They didn't want to pay him so much money, right? So you have to start looking at Eric Armstead. Like, where do you start saving money if you can't fit all these mega contracts in?
You make sure you draft and develop guys. Yeah. And that's what makes it tough too when you give up so many picks for a young guy. But here's the thing. You know it's coming. You got to do this right now while you have your young quarterback on a rookie contract, and you load up, give him everything he needs to be successful. I've been talking about 49ers need a receiver. There are a lot of people who are pushing back. Oh, they got so many other pressing needs. No, load up, do whatever you got to do to make sure that young quarterback has everything at his disposal and as many weapons as he can have. You go make a run for it over the next few years before you have to pay him $200 million or whatever it is. All right, because then you're going to lose guys. And hopefully by that time, he brings you one Super Bowl. And if he does, then it kind of buys you time because, as you go through other little roster transitions and you have a guy that's really talented, clearly, if he brings you a Super Bowl, that means he's pretty damn good, right? So you hope he's that and he can overcome some of the losses. But right now, you load up. I mean, chips, put your chips all in. And you're able to do that when you have a guy on a rookie contract. That's why it never made sense for a lot of people. Oh, well, on TV all year. Well, Jimmy Garoppolo, there's a chance. No, there is no chance he's back the following year. All right, you got to move on. You got to play this kid. You got to play this kid. You got to start the clock on that so you can make the most of it while he's on his rookie contract. Because if Trey Lance is what they drafted him to be, that's a $200 million contract damn near.
That'll be huge, and you're going to have to start. And the other thing about wide receiver, Croc, that we didn't really talk about is when you start looking down the road, okay, well, Ayuk is going to be going into year 3 next year, just like Deebo did this year. What if Ayuk has a breakout? You're definitely not
a first rounder.
Deebo and Ayuk top of the market money, right? So Ayuk's on the trade market. It's almost like if Ayuk plays too good, he's less likely to be around next year than if he just is like a nice little number 2 and maybe number 3 option behind Kittle, behind Deebo. If he's that next year, he's more likely to stay a 49er longer than if he's really good, because then you got to figure out something with Deebo and Ayuk, and you got to have drafted and developed other wide receivers to come take some guys' place. You have to draft and develop offensive linemen to take these other guys' place. So it's all about, for the 49ers, first of all, they got to hit on their quarterback. If you have the quarterback and head coach marriage at the top, everything else is gravy, and you have to make sure you can fit what you need to in. Bosa is a must sign. He's a difference-making player. When you have a pass rusher that's as good as Bosa is, you have to bring him along. You might have to make some decisions at some other places along the way, and maybe some contracts won't be finished with the 49ers. Maybe you have to let some people walk. We saw it for 20 years with the Patriots. It's the only way to keep the thing going. As long as you got it right at the top with quarterback and coach, you can do that and draft and develop. And the 49ers have to keep drafting and developing starting caliber players at positions and not just pay everybody top of the market money.
This is a tough one because I do feel like he's kind of the face of the team, but George Kittle?
It's hard. But I hear what you're saying, because he's paid a lot of money at a position that, you don't have a lot of guys like that get paid a lot of money. So that is a spot where you could save some money.
They don't even use. I feel like they're wasting him. Like, no, they use him. He's so important in the run game. Man, forget all that. He's one of the most. He is the most explosive tight end. Forget all that run game, run blocking stuff. George Kittle. He likes blocking more than he likes receiving. Yeah, whatever. He's one of the best pass catching tight ends in the league. Use him. You look at his numbers over the last 6-7 games. It's ridiculous. He had 2 games in there where he went crazy. Had a 180-yard game, 150-yard game. Outside of that, there's a lot of if you didn't know it was George Kittle, you'd be like, this guy's a highest-paid tight end in the NFL.
Yeah.
If you just look at his stat sheet.
You're on 3 catches, 36 yards. Huh? Great day, Kittle.
See, here's the thing, though, and I kind of disagree, because he still impacts the game when he catches 3 passes.
That's true.
Has a huge impact. So it's not like he's giving you value. I agree that he should be targeted more and utilized as much as possible, because he's a difference maker with the ball in his hands too. But he does make an impact, even if he's not catching a bunch of balls.
Wasn't he the guy that was missing blocks in the NFC Championship game? Listen, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just, I
hear what you're saying, Croc. No, I do, because it is a spot where you could save money down the line. And you could probably get a big return on him too, right? I mean, you trade George Kittle, not next year, maybe the year after, and he's still, considered the best tight end in the game. You could get a lot back for him, and that frees up that money where you could, invest the $30 million in Bosa, or you could go out and sign another wide receiver, or you get ready to pay Trey Lance, which might have to happen. They're going to have to make some really tough decisions, in the next 2 years, really. And I hate to say it, but I think you're right, Croc.
Listen,
that's a tough spot.
Just like my vehicle, right? I'm going to get a new car tomorrow. You got to get rid of it a year too soon, as opposed to a year too late.
That's the Belichick thing, right?
That's the Belichick thing. Kittle, I know everybody's going to kill me. Croc's trying to get rid of Kittle. He's not the youngest player.
No.
He's a little, he's 20, going on 29, 30
right? Yeah.
Now, Kelsey is still playing at a high level, but the 49ers don't utilize him that way. So it's if we're not getting the big-time production from a pass-catching standpoint, and then he's getting bulldozed now. I mean, listen, I'm just a messenger. Got bullied a little bit in the NFC
One bad game, Croc. Cut him some slack.
I'm just saying. All right, listen. They're not utilizing him right. I think they're doing him a disservice.
Yeah.
Let him free, and free up your cap space too.
At Eric_Crocker is where you can find Eric on Twitter and talk to him about trying to push George Kittle, all-pro George Kittle.
I love Kittle. Every time he catches the first down, I do this with him.
Yeah, right.
I love him.
I love that move too. Yeah. But here's the thing: before you even have to start talking about George Kittle, there's other ways to save money. John Lynch was asked the question about Deebo and Bosa, big contracts potentially coming up. He said it's been budgeted for. So Niners have a plan. Sounds like Deebo and Bosa are part of that plan going forward. But I think Eric Armstead, Trent Williams, there's some other contracts that would go first before you have to start talking about Kittle and Fred Warner. And I would probably start talking about a linebacker before a tight end, just because of the impact I think that Kittle brings is maybe more than a linebacker. So if you're talking about a future contract that goes, I might lean linebacker first, not because of the player, just because of the position. And the 49ers have clearly found, pretty talented linebackers and done a good job doing that. It's harder to find a difference maker like George Kittle, I think. And that's the way I would go. But I don't think they're going to have to go there, at least not for a while. I think this conversation doesn't even need to be had about Kittle's contract or Warner's contract until 2024, 2025.
Yeah, two guys.
Trey Lance comes up.
Two guys I love too, but are highly paid. Robbie Gould paid a lot of money. Kyle Juszczyk paid a lot of money. I mean, those are a couple guys too that could be on their way out soon.
Right. Yep. Draft and develop. Find cheap talent around your superstars. That's the name of the game. 49ers have 9 picks and probably a 10th on the way after they trade away Jimmy Garoppolo to do such things. Next, let's open up the mailbag. We'll let you folks know about Built Bar, though. It's February, right? Are your New Year's resolutions still going? Probably not. Mine is. You know why? Because I had Built Bar as part of that plan. This time of the year, everyone pretty much gives up on those New Year's resolutions. It almost feels like it's not really a resolution because you can actually enjoy eating a snack like Built Bar. So the key is Order yourself a box of Built Bars. Go to Built.com. Get whatever flavor you want. Tons of great flavors. All kinds of new flavors all the time. They've got the puffs right now. Churro puff, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie puff. All Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. They are delicious, low calorie, high protein. You go find all your snack drawers, your purse, your glove box in your car, your desk at work, whatever your snack secret pantry places that you keep snacks that are bad for you. Replace those with Built Bars, and you will thank me for it later. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order, or you can get a mixed box if you're not sure what flavor you want. That is promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. An incredible app that everybody buys gas needs to know about. It is called Get Upside. I use it. I eat a Built Bar on my way to get gas, where I get cash back that pays for my Built Bars, because I get cash back every time that I get gas, and I get gas at the same exact gas station I always did anyway. It's on the way to the freeway, and I get the lowest price gas in town when I get that cash back because I use the Get Upside app. And it's super easy. There is no catch. Just download the app for free. Use promo code touchdown for 25 cents per gallon or more back on your first fill up. That is promo code touchdown for 25 cents or more per gallon. Some people who drive a lot making a couple $100, $300 a year in cash back, and there's no catch. You take that money that goes right into your Get Upside account just for getting gas, and you can pull it out anytime you want into your bank account, PayPal, e-gift card, Amazon, you name it. The Get Upside app, promo code touchdown to get 25 cents per gallon or more cash back on your first tank. That is promo code touchdown with the Get Upside app. Talking a lot about the future of the 49ers, so let's keep that going and talk a little bit about the schedule next year. This is a bonus. The 49ers were a good team. The 49ers were in the NFC Championship game, yet they get to play the third place schedule next year, right? So that's a little bit helpful. And as Kruger points out here, it's kind of cool that Mike McDaniel gets to bring his Miami Dolphins to Levi's Stadium next year. We get to see left-handed Jimmy G that goes by the name of Tua. Is he going to become Tua W? We'll find out. Does McDaniel have the magic? And the home slate of games also includes Patrick Mahomes coming to Levi's, Justin Herbert coming to Levi's, and obviously the three NFC West rivals. So it's a hell of a home schedule, as Kruger points out, and it's a third-place schedule for the 49ers. So it's going to be a fun season of football next year. I know it's another 200 days before that happens, but, hey, it's going to be a great year developing a young quarterback, first year starting for Trey Lance. This season's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait.
Yeah, see how they game plan for their new wide back, that they displayed this season. It'll be interesting to see what they got in store.
They might continue to play Deebo that way, in that role.
I don't see why not. Maybe less carries.
More carries in the second half than receptions.
Not if they sign him first. If they re-sign him to a big deal, you got to cut that out, or at least use it very sparingly. If they want to play it out, then use him as much as possible, right? And find out if he's durable enough to handle that before you do that long-term deal. I mean,
what happened to that thing where they do the big motion behind and they fake it to the back and toss it back to Deebo and he comes around the edge? They did it once in the Cowboy game, but I feel like that was the only time I saw it. Like the whole second half of the season, they were using him more as a traditional back, motioning him into the backfield, motioning him into shotgun, lining him up in I formation. But that little motion and then toss to him, I feel like he was so money with that his rookie year, and they just went away from it. And I was waiting for it, thinking they were going to bring it out at some point. They used it one time against Dallas late in the game when he picked up like 9 yards or 10 yards and was like this short of a first down to close the game out. Like they just stopped using that. What's up with that?
He made some big plays in the playoffs as a true runner, but I think there were diminishing returns the more often they used him as a running back and the more they used him just as a straight up back and started running him more between the tackles. I feel like that's not the right way to go about it. And you can dial back some of those things. You can still be creative. And here's the other thing. And Wink, I don't know if this surprised you a lot. I think Croc and I talked about it last week maybe, but why don't the 49ers with anybody at running back, and especially with Deebo Samuel at running back, why don't they throw to their running backs more? Because Jimmy Garoppolo's stats are crazy because obviously he gets a lot of yards after the catch from his playmakers, which makes his yards per attempt go up. But his yards per attempt are a lot higher than they should be because for a quarterback that doesn't push the ball down the field and outside the numbers very much. But what a big part of that is because he doesn't throw the ball away a lot, as Grant Cohn pointed out recently, and then he threw it away twice in the last game, just to spite Grant Cohn. I'm pretty sure is why he did that. And they don't throw their running backs a lot. The 49ers offense doesn't. So I think that yards per attempt, they don't have those really short ones that maybe Patrick Mahomes, who might be airing it out of the field on one play, he might have more checkdowns to the running backs, and it brings that yards per attempt down a little bit. Garoppolo lives so much in this one area of the field, he doesn't throw a lot deeper, but he doesn't throw a lot shorter either. I think the 49ers can do a better job getting the ball out quicker to their running backs, especially when you got a guy who's that dynamic like that. Every time the 49ers run that, whatever you want to call it, option route or circle route or Texas route or whatever, I feel like they're undefeated whenever they run that, whether it's Jeff Wilson ran it once to Deebo. I want to keep seing that stuff.
There are a lot of people that say that, Jimmy Garoppolo, he checks down. And I don't think he really checks it down. No. I think he does bypass the deep throws, and he's like, nah, I'm not even looking at that. But he doesn't like, I'm just going to sit here. Let me just get it off to the running back in space. Very seldomly do you see that. So, there are a lot of people. I think that was kind of one thing that people kind of confused on. Yeah, he doesn't push the ball down the field, but him throwing slants, him throwing digs, those aren't checkdowns.
No, if you go and watch old video of Alex Smith as a quarterback, the 49ers, that is Mr. Checkdown. Like exactly. So you saw a ton of that. So as a 49er fan, we kind of got used to that, right? We had a lot of Frank Gore coming out of the backfield, catching balls, making moves. Yeah, I've always said that for the last 4 or 5, even 6 years. It's like, where are the balls? Where are the balls to the running back? At least, because a lot of times they sneak out and they're wide open, but he's not even looking that way. Garoppolo's eyes are down the field. And maybe that's something they'll work on. Once Trey takes over, maybe that's something they can evolve into his game sort of thing. But to get back to the Deebo stuff coming out of the backfield, I feel like that's kind of been an evolution, right, from what Kyle wanted Juszczyk to be, his offensive weapon. He could line up here, he could line up there, he could be everywhere. And he's kind of been like, oh, wait, let me try that with somebody that's a little more athletic, a lot faster, and can actually be, and he's been extremely durable this past season. So it's kind of fun to see how much that has changed, and then to see what they're going to do with it next year. I think you're right too, Peacock, when it comes to if he's signed or not. It's going to dictate a lot of how they use Deebo Samuel next year. Because if you got this big, long contract, you don't want to go out there and wear the guy out, 6 weeks into the season. You want to slowly pace it, and see if you can
they probably should
stretch that
anyway.
out.
Yeah.
No, you're exactly right.
You're trying to win a game in the playoffs. It's whatever. You use him in the backfield if you have to. Wherever you get your advantage, use it as much as you can. But in September, he better not be getting 10, 12 carries per game as a true running back, especially between the tackles. I mean, that's just absurdity. It's really just running your one of your best players into the ground for no reason.
Well, yeah, I mean, hopefully, in September, you got Elijah Mitchell fully healthy. Maybe even Trey Sermon takes a step forward and can kind of be, kind of a 1-2 punch coming out of the backfield, which I think would be huge for the 49ers.
Sermon, I thought he did a good job catching the ball out the backfield, though. I did. When they targeted him and they threw the ball to him, I thought he did well. I went back and watched some Trey Lance from the Arizona game, and there were a few times where he got the ball to him in space, and Trey Sermon made some guys miss and picked up extra yardage. I think that's something the 49ers definitely should make that a focal point. Like, you could run everybody off, get him the ball in space, let him make a guy miss, and pick up 10, 15 easy yards. I think Trey Sermon. I think Elijah Mitchell has that type of aspect to his game.
Yeah, he can absolutely catch the ball a little bit. And I thought that was going to be a much bigger part of Kyle Shanahan's offense. That's one thing that surprised me through the years. And especially after they overpaid to bring in Jerick McKinnon. It was like, okay, dynamic out of the backfield with Juice and McKinnon. That's what this offense is going to look like. And it never really happened. Did he just scrap that whole thing as soon as McKinnon got hurt and never went back?
That's what it is. Yeah, maybe he
playbook that doesn't seem like it's being utilized. And look,
maybe he had a plan with McKinnon, and he's like, this is what we're going to do. And then he had to scrap it. And like you said, he just never got back to it.
And Juszczyk is a good receiver for a fullback, but he's not a good receiver for an NFL receiver.
Period.
He's probably not the guy you should be trying really hard to get open 30 yards down the field either. And we've seen that on some plays. Like, get Deebo 30 yards down the field, right? Like Juice is good, but unless he's completely uncovered, it's like, I think maybe let me put it this way, and I'm not anti fullback or anti Kyle Juszczyk. I would be interested in if there's any part of the offense that gets better once Juszczyk's not around.
Right.
Because
if you look at it too, if you've got 5 playmakers on the field on any given snap, Juszczyk should probably be the 5th person that touches the football of those 5 guys.
Yeah, because he's only good compared to other fullbacks.
Right.
He's not like an amazing receiver.
He's got good hands.
An amazing athlete. He's got fine hands. Yeah, like compared to tight ends. Like, where would he rank? If Kyle Juszczyk was a full-time tight end, where would he rank in the league?
I think he'd be pretty good, to be honest.
Middle of the field, probably. Middle of the pack.
Like a top 10.
I think he'd be pretty good. I think he'd be somebody that can start on a good amount of teams.
Okay. I feel like he's just a little tight in space and moving around and getting and maneuvering his body to catch the football. I feel like down the field targets to Juszczyk is just, it's fine when he's completely uncovered and wide open, but that's not what your first option of an offense should be. Is, hey, how can we get the ball to our fullback?
There are some, I feel like with his, and he doesn't see a ton of targets. You could put a nice little highlight tape of him, like making some contested catches downfield.
Yeah, I agree.
You could also put a low lights tape together of him like backpedaling and looking like a little league outfielder and falling over.
Also
true. Yeah. I mean, Juszczyk's awesome. It's the best fullback in the league. It's not even close, right? But it's sort of a philosophical thing is where I'm going with that. Last one, really quick. I just want to answer a question from Bob's Gourmet. He said, what happened to the 4 compensatory selections for Robert Sala and Martin Mayhew? Well, they didn't get 4 selections. They got 3 selections. And I don't know if it's just because you only get 1 selection for a GM and 2 for a head coach, or if it's because they didn't want to give you 4 because both guys left in the same offseason. But as far as the diversity program, the 49ers didn't get 4 picks for Sala and Mayhew leaving for head coach and GM, respectively, last offseason. They got 3 picks. The first of those comp picks was used last year in the 3rd round for Ambry Thomas. The second of those comp picks, and those were in 3 consecutive years that they got those 3 picks. So the second one, the 22 third rounder, was traded as part of the Trey Lance package. And then the third of those 3rd round comp picks is going to be next year, 2023. They've got a comp pick, and they're going to have a comp pick now for Mike McDaniel this year, and then a second next year. So unless they trade it away, they're going to have 2 3rd round compensatory picks, 1 for Mayhew and 1 for Mike McDaniels next year. Yeah. So that's where they're at. So they've gotten 5 picks over the last 2 off seasons. Wow. 5 3rd round comp picks that are at the end of round 3. So a round pick, a little after pick 100 or so, which is pretty amazing. And they're going to get 2 more for D'Amico Ryans next.
And if things go very well and Anthony Lynn looks like a superstar, I mean, he could very well be on his way out in the next year or 2.
But isn't there a rule where you have to have them on your staff for a couple of years before they leave in order to get those comps back?
I'm not sure what that rule is. I don't know if it's a one and done situation, if you still get the comp picks or what. But
I feel like it's 2 years, but I think I read that somewhere. You know what I wish they had, just real quick before we get out of here? We were talking earlier about having to sign Deebo and having to, to pay Trey Lance and pay Bosa and all this. I know the NBA has that deal where you can offer your guys you drafted more money. Like, I wish that there was some sort of rule like that in the NFL where, like, your homegrown guys, you could keep and it wouldn't count as much towards the salary cap or something.
Yeah, soft cap instead of hard cap. Yeah. So it's a homegrown player that their full salary doesn't count against the cap. So it's easier to keep your guys if you draft and develop well. Someone like Deebo, someone like, or really all the big money guys recently, aside from Trent Williams.
Deebo, Kittle, Warner, Bosa.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you still only have a certain amount of max contracts that you can have, even with those guys. So that's what they just call it, just max contract. Who would be your 3? Okay, real quick before we get out of here, who would be your 3 max contract guys? Trey Lance is good. Everybody's good. Bosa. Everybody's as good as, they're terrific. They're all Pro Bowlers and all that. Who are your 3 all pro guys? I mean, all max players.
Is Bosa, Lance? Go ahead.
I don't think we should put Lance in that yet because we don't know what he is, and he wouldn't.
No, but I'm saying hypothetically speaking.
So you could have 3 now, and when Lance comes up in 2025 or whatever, then you could take one of those away and replace him with Lance if you want to. So I think we should have 3 that aren't Lance because that's so far in the future. You can still have 3 now, get rid of 1, trade 1, right, and then do another max contract with Lance.
Yeah, and I think it's Bosa, Kittle, and Deebo.
Yep.
See, that's too easy. No, we got to include Trey Lance into this exercise. Trey Lance is in. So
and Kittle's out.
By 2025, Bosa will be 28, 27, and Kittle will be
27. That's your prime. 27. That's your prime still.
And Kittle will be like 33, 34. So that's easy. Kittle is.
Oh man, no, but you can't. Don't.
Why would you? Why would you give a second-year quarterback a max contract when his contract?
I know, but I'm
just saying how I should have got executive of the year earlier in the podcast. This is why
I digress.
I'm not paying guys 4 years.
All right. Okay,
come on.
Shadow draft. Bow down,
dude. Been doing this. I've been doing
those shoulders.
I've been doing this fake GM thing for a while, Croc. You can't slip that past me.
He said, wait, George Kittle's going to be 33 years old.
All right, good stuff. The 49ers should have enough money in the reserves to sign Deebo and Bosa. I think that's the takeaway here. So don't get too worried, 49ers fans, but they're going to have to make some other hard decisions at other positions on the roster to get those guys in, I think, eventually. And hopefully they have to pay all these guys big money, and these guys are all earning big money because that means they'll be really good players. They might have to trade some people away, but draft and develop. It's the name of the game. That's why Croc and I are going to talk so much draft here on Locked On 49ers throughout the offseason. Wink, thanks for joining us on another Wednesday episode here.
My pleasure, gentlemen.
And thanks for everybody else for making us your first listen every day for your second listen. Check out Croc doing Locked On NFL Draft. I'm doing the Peacock and Williamson NFL Daily Locked On Bets here on the network. If you want to get deeper into the sports betting world, your team, no matter the sport, is covered on the Locked On Podcast Network. Croc and I back tomorrow right here. Locked On 49ers.
See you.